Hey everybody, welcome back to Konversation with me,
Rick.
Rick.
And me, Nahin.
And our special guest. Now, this is an amazing guest because, first of all, I actually went to school with your sister. And I actually saw you at the tail end. I don't know if you remember me.
Freshman year, senior year.
Yes, okay, yep. So that's funny. And this is...
Diana Wang.
Diana Wang. I
let her do it. So
I didn't want to mess it up. You guys know how bad I am with names. Now, everybody thinks this show that we do, because it's called Kali Conversation, is about martial arts, and that could be the farthest from the truth. We actually did an episode where we say that it's not just that. We've had nutritionists come in, we've had bodybuilders, chiropractor. Mm-hmm. So when I talked to your sister Mary, hi Mary,
shout out to Mary.
She said, "Hey, Diana's in the..." I'm like, what? And I'm like, cool. Do you think I could talk to her? Like, I'm sure she'd be happy to. Okay, so here we are. Where did you start going back as far as back in high school when we were there? I know you went from there to Berkeley? Or
yes, I graduated from high school, Mission High School.
Yay, Bears!
Yes, I went to Berkeley where I studied English literature.
Bears.
Yes, another bear. And English lit was my thing. I was going to be maybe a writer. And I entered a speech competition.
A speech
competition, a Chinese speech competition. Huh. And I won.
Nice.
And and after the competition, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Are you an actor? You act like an actor." I'm like, "No, I'm not." But so many people kept bringing it up to me that I thought, why not take a class?
Right.
So I took a class, and it was fun. It was interesting. It was different. And it was just a fun class.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So what is it about your personality that people thought actress?
Probably because during my speech competition, I was very dramatic. Right?
But it was just a speech competition.
It was a speech competition, but I was really dramatic.
And you were doing, oh my God.
Yes, yes.
She went from damsel to dictator.
But after my second acting class, that's when I got really inspired.
And that was all in Berkeley?
On Berkeley,
They
yes.
have a good course in acting from what I understand.
It's gotten better, for sure.
Really?
For sure. And
it wasn't quite where it is now back then?
I think back then people didn't think of going to Berkeley to study that.
No.
Right?
Yeah,
but when I got there, there was a department, and so my professors all came from there, and they even counsel lawyers. They prepare them and teach them how to do
be
prep
how to be lawyery,
how to be convincing to a jury.
Yeah.
There's a narrative that kind of goes into the whole thing. I worked in litigation support, so I got to meet a lot of lawyers and why they all drink whiskey.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of, I don't want to say pageantry, but you have to do it.
Yes.
They actually practice the things they're going to say in front of the camera or in front of the judge beforehand.
So now acting instructors help lawyers.
If I ever decide to be a lawyer, I'm gonna call you.
Yep.
I doubt it though. I don't like those.
You don't have the work ethic too.
I don't.
At all.
I get tired just tying my shoes. That's why I don't wear shoes.
Me too. I'm the same way.
I refuse to buy shoes with shoelaces on.
Sandals.
There you go.
Sandals.
See, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
he definitely is.
I have when we did research on you, dude, it's like a mile long, that page. Holy cow! I mean,
you're involved in a lot.
Before I ruin everything, who's the most famous person that you worked with?
Jackie Chan.
Now, I want to show this off because Jackie Chan, she has this, in her beanie, there's this logo here.
That's his logo.
It's a Chinese character. It says dragon because Jackie's nickname is Being the Dragon.
Being the Dragon.
In Chinese, it's in Mandarin, it's Chen Long.
Chen
Long, yeah. And this is one of his presents. On every film that we work on, he gives presents.
This is how many films you've worked on?
Well, this is...
No, those are all the...
Yeah, these are the patches from different stunt organizations that have made him a member, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So he's a member of all of these groups.
Exactly. And so he likes to promote certain things like tolerance, right?
That's beautiful.
Yes.
I've heard that about him. He's very much into people and peace of the world.
Yes,
and the whole...
yes. Peace of the world, yes. It says stunts all around the world.
Oh,
and here is his lucky number, 32. Because this is when he almost died. Yeah.
At 32.
At the age of 32.
Yeah, 32. When he did the film Armor of God. And he fell from a tree.
I remember
that. I remember that, they had to...
his head hit a rock.
carry him out.
Yes. So that number is very important. So everything that he designs, he puts it there to remind himself of how far he's come, right?
This
Look,
is
I almost
crazy.
died.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
This is
constant
the-
reminder,
yeah,
like
yes,
32.
the
I
reminder.
almost
Of
died
course.
at that age.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So yeah, Jackie has been a big part of my life. I've worked with him for 20 years now.
Wow.
My first film with him was Rush Hour,
Rush Hour.
and my last
Man,
film with
oh
him
my
was
God.
The Foreigner.
I love that movie.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
one? The
dude,
Foreigner.
you know,
Well, I like both of them, but
Yes.
the Foreigner
I was
was
actually,
amazing.
I was actually
Oh my
bummed
God.
out that it didn't get a lot of recognition. The Foreigner.
Foreigner,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, that was one of my favorite roles of him doing.
Yeah.
His character in there, you know, a distraught father, you know, daughter dies and all these things.
Dude,
And
you really see his range.
and you see, his range and the acting ability, and you never thought he was like that. You
I
always see him
cried.
as
Yeah.
I
you
cried.
always see
Yeah.
him as a comedian,
Right,
You know,
the
always a
goofy
funny,
guy,
you know,
yeah.
Harold Lloyd stuff, and then you see that, and you're like, wow, he is an
Yeah,
actual.
he can be very dramatic. He doesn't always have those opportunities. But in Karate Kid, he did a great job, I thought.
Right,
Yes,
right.
oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, but you were a big part of that. Because
Thank
they had
you.
to translate
Thank you.
from, I understand his original language, but
Yeah.
it was an English movie.
Yeah.
Everything was in English.
Yeah.
So even
Yeah.
the emotions kind of have to take a different approach to it, and you're the one that helped him understand the language and how to express it.
Yep.
Now,
In that way.
in
Yes.
the last scene that we saw you with, which is your, what do you call the podcast that you were on?
My
with
girlfriend.
your
Yeah,
friend.
my
Yeah,
girlfriend
yeah,
Kimbra.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's some funny things in there that I can just, you know, you can almost picture the idea that Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan together both have no idea what the other is all about, and the chaos that happens. But when you see them together in the film,
Yeah.
It works.
you would never know.
The magic of editing.
Oh,
my gosh, the
yeah,
editor
yeah.
is amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like they actually both knew a term, but
Yeah.
the way I'm hearing it on your thing is that
Yeah.
they had no clue
No.
what they were
Yeah.
each other
Yeah.
was saying.
Yeah.
One was doing his bit,
You know,
the other one
and
was
that,
doing
that,
his
and
bit.
it reminds me of that one piece. Goes, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? It holds so true.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that has a whole different level now.
Yeah,
after
now that
watching
you know, he's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
That is
He really meant it.
too
It was
much.
like they just kept it in.
Yep. Because Chris talks this fast.
Right.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And Jackie is trying to understand him, but he can't.
Right.
Most people can't. Because Chris
Even-
speaks so quickly.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
those that are born
Right.
speaking English.
And I remember the first time, we were started working on the film, and Jackie saw that Chris had a coach. She says, well, I need a coach because I don't speak English, but why does Chris need a coach? And I said, because he speaks a different kind of English, you know?
Right.
And there is a difference between how you speak
Oh, yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
normally and how you have to speak for film, right?
Right,
You have to be
right.
clear.
Yeah.
And you're using words like gefilte fish you've never used before, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was,
Fish.
you know, that's what I've always loved about Jackie Chan's movies. At the end of it, you get to see the making of,
Like the
rather
little
than waiting
bits,
for the
yeah.
DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, just so you guys know, she's actually the vocal coach.
Dialogue coach.
Dialogue
yes.
coach.
Okay, and that's huge because I didn't realize he didn't speak that much English. But when you see him on the screen and when you see him in his talk shows,
You wouldn't know that.
you wouldn't know.
He can understand basic English, right?
Right.
But when we're doing a film, we're using dialogue that's never that he's never heard. Words that he's never used.
Right, it's not common
right.
English.
And then to have to speak it in a way that other people understand him, right? Because when he speaks, he gets right to the point. It's he's saying all the important words, but he doesn't necessarily have a certain fluidity
Yeah.
that you expect
Right.
from his character.
That
right?
cadence that comes
Yes,
along
exactly.
with it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Wow.
You must have had a lot of fun being there.
Let's see. Fun.
Were you starstruck?
I learned very early on that you can't be. Because if you are starstruck, then they don't know how to work with you, right?
Oh.
You're just too busy going,
Yeah.
right?
And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Let's focus on this.
Right.
Let's
They don't
do
have
the
time
work.
to babysit.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
Inside, your heart's pounding, and you're going, oh my God, this is a legend.
Yeah.
The most famous man in the world is in front
yeah.
of you, but you can't act like that.
But outside
you
you're
can't act like, you had to play it cool. Yes.
Wow, that must have been tough. Though.
So it took time to get
Yeah.
used to because it's not just him. That
So you're a
all
great
around
actress.
us. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
and
Thank
she's
you.
never.
Well, because
Yeah.
she's still in the industry, obviously
Right.
she overcame
Now,
that.
how long have you been in the industry?
Let's see. I started in college, so I was
Wow.
probably around 22. I'm now 53.
No,
so a
that
long time.
starting in college consisted of what?
Acting. So in
Just
college,
the acting
I took
part.
acting classes. I was
Right.
part of theater. I was part of the first Asian American theater group on campus,
Okay.
and we put up plays. And
Now,
then
how much more difficult is the acting part on a play as opposed to being on the screen? Because I know they're two different beasts.
Yeah.
Yes and no. The acting is the same,
Mm-hmm.
but it's projection that's different. So when you're performing for 500 or 1,000, you have to be louder,
They need to hear
and you have to be you have to speak clear. But when you're doing film, you can whisper, and then
They have
the
a
camera.
boom mic
yes,
on
exactly.
you right here.
Right, and they can dub your voice in later or whatever, right?
Oh, okay.
So there, but the acting, it doesn't have to be as large, right? For
Right.
theater, it's large,
Mhm.
big actions, but for film, it's more subtle. But the way you think about it is still the same. You're
Right.
still the same character. You're
Right.
still, you still have the same intentions.
Well, and I was, I did a little bit of acting in high school, blah blah blah. And I remember that you had to project, you had to get everything from here and really yell out,
Diaphragm.
the whole bit.
Mhm.
But then when you see on the screen stuff, I've always thought that they were two different things because you were a little more relaxed, behind the camera than you were on the stage. And the stage, I remember when I was up there, I only had some very little lines, and I actually had one line where I just lay there and I do this and I died. That was my line, is to just
Die.
go limp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even just that, I was nervous and had butterflies and the whole bit. And all I had to do was lay there and just, collapse. But I was like, okay, I'm an actor now.
You
that's
are.
all
You are.
I was like, what the
Because you're
heck?
not playing you.
Right.
You're playing a character.
I'm playing some guy who's going to
Playing
die.
character. Yes.
And so I look at that, but then I see on the screen, it's totally different. When you're on where you're doing film work, it's not that. It's you get as many takes as it takes. And if your director's good, it's only a few takes because they don't want to spend that budget on you for messing up every chance you get. But that's amazing. Now, how do you deal with all of that stuff as far as, because we don't know what level degree you are in the business. We know you've been doing it 30 years, so you got to be pretty high up there. Explain that to us.
Let's see. Well, you are high up there if you are working with somebody high up there, right?
Wow.
So
Okay, I get
working
that.
with Jackie on
Then
Rush Hour,
right.
I really didn't think it was going to lead to another film. I thought after Rush Hour, I would never see him again. It was not an easy film to make.
Right.
He didn't enjoy learning English. And Chris Tucker drove him nuts because the dialogue changed every single minute, right? And we were making a Chinese film, right?
Right.
Chinese films, Jackie has so much control. He comes on the set and he's the actor, but he acts like a director and the
really?
writer
Right, of
and
course.
everything else.
There's a lot of it he
whatever he
writes,
wants to do, he can do.
will do, right.
But on an American film, there are unions. Everyone has to stick to their job and nothing else.
Wow. So he felt really constrained.
So on Rush Hour, at the end of the film, when I say goodbye to him, it was goodbye and thank you for the experience. Bye, and off I
I
go.
hope I never see you again.
Well, not that, but it was a difficult film. It was not easy to make. But then a few months later, I got a phone call to go to Hong Kong to do another job. And I was like, whoa, I guess he kind of likes me. I didn't feel that way when we were working, but suddenly I'm doing another job, and then another job. And before I know it, 20 years has gone by, and I've worked with him on 16 projects or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations of directing yourself, or?
I've thought about that because
I know you're not a director at this point yet.
A director has to do a lot. Part of it is the actor, working with the actors, but you have to also have a huge vision for what the film looks like. You have to add the music to it. You have to pick the crew. It's a big job. I think I enjoy working with the actors, but overseeing everything else, I'm not sure I have the time. I have 3 kids to do that.
Definitely not the
but
time.
If I ever have the time, maybe I would consider doing it. But right now, these days, busy with kids.
Well, let's talk about your kids for a little
Yes.
bit. So, tell us about them. How many
I
kids
have-
you
Shout out to the kids.
the kids.
My babies, I have 3 babies. One of them is applying to college now. Yes, 2 of them go to Aragon.
Dude, this is exciting.
Yes.
He's into robotics.
He is a captain of the robotics team, 2nd year.
Dude, ask him to build me an R2D2.
I have a friend who could have done that. Yes. And my second kid is a sophomore, and he is the president of his sophomore class.
Right, that's kind of
They're
cool.
both involved in Boy Scouts, and he's also a swimmer for a swim team. My youngest is 9, and she is enjoying musical theater, so this could be her path.
I saw that she's a ham.
She can be, yes.
She
And-
popped her head up in that
Yeah,
video.
I saw
yes, I could not keep her out of that interview.
That was so funny. I'm like, yep, I like her.
I have brought all 3 of my kids on a job with me.
Oh,
So when I made Rush Hour 3, which we shot for 7 months,
Right.
1 month in Paris and
Yeah.
6 months in Los Angeles.
was that your kid being held by Jackie when he comes
That
out?
was another person's kid.
Okay.
But my kid's in a picture with Chris Tucker.
Okay,
Yeah. When they were doing a photo shoot for the poster of the film,
Right.
Chris grabbed him, and we have a great picture now. yeah. But I brought him with me for a 7-month
snatch
shoot.
the baby.
Yeah. For
Give me that baby.
Yep.
That's too
Yeah.
funny.
And so he came along, and he grew up at the film. He learned to walk and talk. When
Right.
he first came, he had to be held, but yeah.
Well, by the end of the movie, he was
Yes.
walking and talking.
Mhm.
That is
and my first
his
child.
first word was cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, an action.
That or where's Chris?
My
Oh,
first kid, I brought him on a film called Around the World in 80 Days,
Oh yes, I remember.
which we
that.
filmed in Thailand and Germany.
Right.
So in Thailand, I was pregnant with him. I came back to the U.S. to give birth, and I brought him to Germany to finish the film.
So what nationality is he now then considered?
No, he was
He's
born,
American.
he was born
He's
here.
born
He was
here.
So he's
Yes. But at 1 month old, he was in Germany.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, his
And-
passport stamp started before he was 1.
Yeah. And my third child, I brought her along for a V8 commercial shoot with Jackie in LA.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So all 3 kids have met him and worked with him and been on his sets. Yeah.
That's that is such a treat. I mean, now they will always have a story.
Yeah.
I
But
wonder
do
if
you-
that was part of their
yeah.
platform running for president. It's like, hey, I work with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I know Jackie Chan.
You were like 6 months
But
old.
let me ask you this, because I find it interesting that some kids, when they're around that too much, they're like, I don't, I don't wanna-
Desensitized.
Yeah. Do you think that happens? Sounds
Well-
like the middle kid maybe.
Well, I think they don't understand how big he is. You know,
Okay.
they've all met him. They've been on his film sets.
It's just some
but
guy.
they're kids,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So they're focused on their lives, right?
Right.
On their activities. I think in the future they will look back and realize what a big deal it was.
You know,
but
we
now
we have a
they don't see it that way.
we had done an episode with somebody, and they had met Bruce Lee,
Mm.
and he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, wow, that's Bruce Lee, and you're like, It's
Right,
like,
right.
You know, she's like, yeah, I didn't like it.
In their defense, it was before he became
Yeah, before
Bruce
he came,
Lee.
yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Became somebody.
Sure.
But I just thought that's interesting, because I could see that. I mean, I met who was it, Eddie Murphy, and I worked at a hotel, and he was going to stay with us, but him and his entourage had to come in, check out the place, and decide whether they were going to stay or not. But he's funny. You know, we get in the elevator with him, and jokingly I turn around and goes, oh, by the way, they've asked me to tell you not to steal towels. And he just starts cracking up, and I was like, oops. And then my boss looks at me like, what are you doing? You're security. Goddamn, He goes, hey, he's a nice guy, I hear,
Every actor is different. There
Yeah,
are some who
yeah.
are warm and friendly, and some who are not. And so when I work with all of them, I just have to give them space and figure out what they're about.
Which one they are.
Because they're not all going to be warm and
Yeah.
friendly to you.
Right,
They could be focused on their character,
Right.
or maybe they're just not a very nice person. You just
like
don't know.
Jared Leto, right? You can't talk to him. He's like, no, get away from me.
Maybe because he's staying in character.
Yeah, he's
Well,
one of those
he's a method
actors.
actor.
Yeah, sure. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, another
Yeah.
person.
You just can't talk to him.
Yes, I did a film in Ireland with Jackie called Medallion,
Yes, I know.
that was a
and
great
some
movie.
of our crew worked on a film with Daniel Day-Lewis,
Right.
Oh.
and they had all kinds of stories to tell
I can imagine.
about how he wanted to stay in character when he was no longer in front of the camera. So his character, is a paraplegic,
Yeah.
right? And so the crew had to push him in a wheelbarrow.
Oh, Jesus.
Because he didn't want to walk. He
Right.
didn't want to walk to his trailer. But, it helped him, get all these awards. And
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
helped him
no.
stay in character.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
like,
get
these
it.
crew
It's-
members probably deserve awards too for having to push him.
around.
Right?
And after doing a bit of research on you, because I'm the kind of person, I love the end result. And I don't pay much attention to all
The process.
all the process and
Yeah.
all the people involved in it.
Yeah.
But after hearing your stories and seeing some of your
They're
interviews,
the
I'm
actually the ones who made the movie. The
yeah.
movie. You start to realize.
They're the ones that put in the
yeah.
work beforehand, during, afterwards.
And you're right. They do need
It's a
some
big,
kind of board. Yeah.
big crew. It's
Yeah.
huge. When you see the end credits and you see all those names,
Yeah, gazillion
each
names.
of those people have done something
Yeah.
important for the
Something, yeah.
film, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's-
I never really paid
and
attention to it.
and we take that for granted as
We do.
viewers, right?
Whenever I go to watch a film, I'm waiting until the very end, reading everybody's names,
I know that one.
giving them the respect, including
No,
my own.
I'm gonna start doing that from now on because that takes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
having to do
Yeah,
it.
it tells me I gotta stay.
Right.
Yes.
Besides, if this
I make
is a
everybody
more-
stay. Anyone who's
Right,
with
everybody
me,
stay.
Stay and watch
Read
till the
every
end.
last name. We're gonna slow it down so you can read every name.
That's too funny.
I even have friends who take pictures of my name and they send it to me. That's friendship. That's friendship for you. They
That
stay to the end.
is. Oh my god.
Now, let me ask you this, because you said you remembered me from high school,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
When you
'cause-
send me the picture, I go, "Yep, I remember you."
That's sad.
It was not a big school. It was a small school,
It was a
and
school,
I
yeah.
was active in the school as part of leadership.
Yeah.
So I, helped sell candygrams. I helped decorate the hallways and dance
Yeah,
parties.
she was one of those girls.
So yes.
Well, she still is one of those girls. I'm pretty sure
Pretty
she's
much,
very
yeah.
active in the PTA. And
I help when I can.
See?
I do.
See?
I do.
Yeah, you're one of those typical moms. Yeah.
Well, you don't have a choice,
Yeah.
because if you are a part of your child's life,
Yeah.
that's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah.
True.
You need to know who are the other parents. You need to know the kids involved.
Well, especially now in this
Yeah.
day and age.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Because you just don't know what people are doing anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, people are so weird and things
Right.
have gotten so different than what
Yeah.
it was when we were.
Mm.
I remember when we were growing up, right, back in the 70s and
Mhm.
80s, you could hang out and do nothing and just, and not worry about
Come back
some
at the
creep
dark,
or some,
yeah.
whatever else.
You see, I didn't have that kind of childhood. I had
Really?
the kind of childhood where I was always aware. And part of the reason is because my family owned businesses. We had
Oh, there you go.
restaurants.
Yeah.
We had
Ah.
grocery stores.
Yeah.
So we're always aware of the good people and the bad people. Because
Right.
we had to deal with the bad
So
people.
you
Right,
kinda-
right,
I've had to sit in police cars many times to ID people.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
So
Wow.
yeah, that talk about a life lesson.
Yeah.
Well, my family owned a supermarket
Uh-huh.
in the Mission. We had a restaurant in the Castro. We had another restaurant in the Tenderloin. And another
Tenderloin.
Tenderloin,
Wow.
yes. So
Really?
I have seen
That's
it
why you're in
all.
the police
Seen it
department all
all.
the time.
Yep. So I see the world very differently than a lot of people. you
Right.
know? And
Then-
I pass that on to my kids too.
And how'd you stay so bubbly?
Bubbly.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm
It's
so upbeat.
When you have
I
to
almost want to
spend
punch you.
when you have to spend an hour cleaning blood that
Right.
somebody left on your sidewalk,
Right.
you get over it. You get over. You clean a mess,
Right.
and you move on with life.
Is
And
that
that's
in the Tenderloin and the Castro?
the Mission?
The Mission.
And the Tenderloin. Never the Castro though. Never the Castro.
Oh,
I'm going to the Castro,
No,
talk to
the
the
Castro
drag queen.
lipstick and
It's a whole different environment.
Broken
Different
heel.
environment.
broken.
We're happy in the Castro.
That's
We're
right.
happy.
That's funny. Oh my goodness! Did you work in any of the restaurants back then, or were
All
you,
of them.
you
All
did?
of them.
Yes. So even
Wow.
though I was not a cook,
Uh-huh.
when the chef didn't show up, guess who was cooking?
Wow.
Yep.
Really?
Mhm.
So
I did everything.
Server, cook,
Yep, yep.
cashier,
Served
hostess.
alcohol too, which I wasn't supposed to do, but
No,
because
right,
you
yeah.
know, because it's your family business, and
Right,
there's
right.
a customer who wants a beer, and there's nobody around to serve him that beer. It's gonna be you.
Although it is kind of hard to tell age
Yeah.
in your particular
It is
group.
true. I'm 100 right now. You probably can't tell, right? Yeah. No, you are right. You are so right about that. 'Cause
Yeah.
my girlfriend,
Uh-huh.
she was 72 years old,
Uh,
and she was cast as a mother of a 2-year-old, because they could not tell that she was a grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But good for
great.
her.
No,
Good
yeah,
for her.
awesome,
It's
dude.
good for her.
72.
Yes,
She's- oh yeah,
yes.
you're
So-
a mother of two.
Yes.
Just so you guys know, one of our conversations that she texted me after the first time we met online. She texted me the thing. She says, "Hey Rick, would you be interested in being a movie?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, you haven't seen me in how many years, and you're asking me, and you would have to play an army soldier. Like what?
Oh, it wasn't a mother of two?
No.
Because I don't think you can pull that off.
With enough
Maybe.
makeup, yes, you
With-
can.
maybe.
Anything is possible with makeup.
But I thought, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I got a kick out of it. I actually shared that with my family.
Wonderful.
And they're just laughing. He goes, "Yeah, you could be an old man." It's like, what the heck?
Anybody who knows me, once they're connected to me, they're going to get some work in the acting world. Because
Wow.
I have lots of friends in the business. They're always reaching out to me. And so I'm always connecting people.
Okay, well, you connect me to wherever you can.
I will.
No.
Sure.
I don't know what character I would play.
Well, last
Opportunities come.
episode I spent it, doubling as a stunt man.
Oh, yeah.
Hence the lip.
Today,
Oh,
yeah.
I know,
in one of
I
our
know.
episodes,
Yeah.
It's tough.
he actually did remarkably well. I was impressed that he didn't die.
Yeah. I know how to stay alive.
And,
in
you
the
know,
beating.
and because we're talking about it, we had the episode that we're talking about is our 25th episode, and in that I decided we had this crazy idea of why don't we get the past guests that we've had who are all martial artists,
Oh, nice.
and we're talking about grandmasters in their field,
Right,
and and I said let's get together and do a what would you do in this scenario.
Yeah.
And I told them, go hard, really do what you can to knock these people down, whatever you have to do,
Mhm.
and let's see how they react to it. And oh my God, it was just an amazing show.